What's up, Pod Nation? Welcome to the Pod USA podcast. Here with my friends Anthony and Tony. How you guys doing tonight?
Good, man.
What's up? What's up? How you doing, Nate? You doing good?
I'm doing excellent because we have a fourth person in the house today. Who's that? Who do we got here tonight?
Yeah, me, Greg.
Hey, it's Greg. Greg's back.
Greg
Greg Bergdorf.
Greg Bergdorf, formerly Zebrahead.
Are we?
Hell yeah!
Am I the first three-peat?
You are. Yeah,
you are.
Sweet. You guys promised me that.
Yes.
promised. Oh yeah, we haven't had anybody on twice, so you're the first.
Oh, I'm way ahead of the pack now.
Yeah, you
Yep.
got the big lead right now. You're the little horse. Everybody else is chasing you.
Under promise, over deliver.
I wonder if can I be fourth before anyone is too?
That's highly likely at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, you signed the contract already verbally.
All right.
But we do keep our promises. Like you said, we're happy to have you back on. We're also happy to bring back the wheel.
Nate's
Spin
really
the
happy.
wheel. I'm so happy. Yes. Oh, man. It's not quite the physical wheel. We were talking about it earlier. Until we have a budget, anyone that wants to Venmo us some money, we definitely want to replicate the spin the wheel on The Price is Right. It's just really expensive. We looked into it. So for now, we have a digital wheel loaded with some really cool questions for Greg.
You got to say what your Venmo handle is so people know where to send the money.
We should probably set up a Venmo handle first.
Now we need a Venmo account. Shit.
So, Nate, what are the questions about?
So the questions that we have for Greg, we thought about different subjects like, I don't know, what was it like growing up? Like, what's it, how do you repair your car in this situation? Like things that were a little irrelevant. We thought we'd stick to nerdery. So we said, what is it like to be a touring musician? And we just pumped out a bunch of questions in the Spin the Wheel that we can put Greg on the spot and get all our questions answered from our youth.
Yeah.
Quick sidetrack on
Tangents, baby.
I'm getting off track already.
No, do it.
You jokingly said, how to fix your car. So
Yep.
let me tell you a little story about my first car.
Nice.
Perfect.
So I graduate high school, the family's sitting around at dinner and I get the card from my dad, it says, happy graduation. Congrats. Yeah, you made it. I open it up and a pink slip falls out. I'm like, yeah, cool.
Nice.
I pull up the pink slip. I look at it and I'm like, 1971 Chevy. Wait, Dad, this is your broken down work truck that's been sitting in our driveway for 3 years. It doesn't run. He says, yeah. I said, well, I don't know how to fix trucks or cars. He says, yeah, well, you can learn. I'm like,
So you had a car, but you needed to figure out how to get it on the road first.
so yeah. My first ever car, my dad gave me his old broken down shop truck.
Nice.
It's literally been sitting in our driveway for 2 or 3 years.
That's awesome.
And-
How many miles?
The odometer rolled so many times on it. I had no idea how many miles it already had on it, but it was like totally rusted over. It had some extra suspension because my dad was an engineer. He made molds, so they used it to like haul giant metal injection mold around, and it was great for hauling gear. Till it broke down to a point that I couldn't fix it. But it didn't. This was before the internet, so you had to go to Track Auto or whatever and buy the year model of the car that was in the rack of catalogs of manuals and books, and then it had instructions on how to fix things or part numbers and how to order them and what order. And I had to change. What did I have to change? I had to change the water pump, the hoses because they were all cracked, the belts because they were all cracked, the thermostat inside the water pump, like in the hose that went to the radiator, and the starter. And I was pretty impressed with myself at 17 to actually do that. Never working on cars before or knowing anything about it. I did.
Running. Nice.
Did you try to roll back the mileage like on Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
No, it didn't matter. The truck was so beat up. Like I literally just spray painted on it on the side.
Nice.
Because there was so much rust. I spray painted high. It was a little wavy guy.
Nice.
People would drive by and honk at me and be like, hey!
That's awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, we're going to talk about cars for the rest of the night. If you guys are, this isn't the episode for nerdery. Sorry. No, just kidding.
That's my only car story, really.
Nice. So what have you been up to, Greg? You've had the Bourbon Brothers stuff. I've seen you guys have been gigging a little bit. What's been going on in your world?
Yeah, we've been Well, I'm in knee deep with kids all the time still. Is yours sleeping through the night yet, Tony?
No, not even close. No.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry to hear
we're
that.
still struggling with that. That's why I got bags under my eyes, and it sounds like I have a cold because I'm all run down.
Allergies? Do you get allergies up there?
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Falling?
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't know I had allergies till I moved from California to Georgia, and I was like, "Why am I sick all the time? What's going on?" Nope, I need to take Zyrtec every day, twice a day.
And sometimes that doesn't even matter.
Yeah. Yeah, kids. Band's going good.
Nice.
Playing a ton of shows. We actually played 5 shows in 4 days this last weekend. Let's see, a couple restaurants, bars, a Georgia steeplechase, a little swanky pinkies up event, and then a wedding way out in Huntsville. A little bit of travel.
That's awesome.
So it's like you're on
Got
tour.
this- Almost. We do have like a end of June. We had 3 dates out in Savannah, so it's a little mini weekend tour.
Nice.
Nice.
So that'll be fun. Great restaurants out there that they'd bring us out, a little restaurant group. So we'll be at Collins Quarter, Forsyth at the park, where the like the big fountain is, like the right in the center of town there. We'll be out on Tybee Island at the Deck, and we'll be at the Fitzroy, which is like a block up from the Riverwalk Landing and stuff.
Savannah's great. That's a great place
That's
to
a cool
go.
town.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Second most haunted city in America.
Oh, we did all those tours.
Really?
We did a ghost tour,
drinking,
ghost tour. Yeah, it was kind of foolish, but it was entertaining. The guy was very passionate. I'll tell you that.
The guy who does our intro theme song is he's a ghost hunter, UFO hunter, all that stuff. So yeah, we love that shit.
Does he hunt squatches?
Oh yeah. He writes music about him. He does the whole 9 yards. Definitely
Man, now I wish I added a UFO question to the spin the wheel. We can do it after the fact.
off the cuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Greg, we when we were thinking about this segment, we were thinking about just doing a touring episode of us just talking about touring. You know, like I don't even know what the idea was, but then we thought, you know what? None of us have ever gone on tours.
Yeah. Right.
So I think
Not for real.
we know a guy who has toured. How long did you tour, Greg? How many years?
Oh, I guess 97 to when did I leave? 2005, 6,
Wow.
somewhere in there.
So about 20 years.
Yeah, pretty close.
You know, a veteran of the touring game for close to 20 years. You know, we knew that we wanted to bring you back, like we said, and the wheel. All signs pointed to the wheel. So what we've done is we've populated the wheel with, 30 questions that we came up
25. We got 25 questions. We won't do them all, but we do have 25. Yeah. Yep.
with? But we'll spin the wheel. I think we got some great ones. Yeah, you have to answer them. No questions asked. You have to answer them.
I want to sign on with my computer now just so I can see all the questions.
So who wants to start us off? You want to start us off, Tone?
Yeah, I'll start us off here. We'll spin the wheel right now and see what we got. She's spinning. 25 questions coming at you real quick. What is the first one? Yeah, right. We need some sound effects in here. All right. Any pre-show ritual that you just had to do before any show?
Oh, I mean, I stretched, I warmed up. I would play for hours before we went on, just because a lot of times I was bored. You're like, now I get, you go walk around during the day, you get back for sound check. Once you have sound check, maybe find something to eat, and then just a warm up. Like one of my favorite parts of the day, especially if it was like we were headliners, and we're if we were one of the openers, and we would be the last ones to sound check, because you sound check headliner first and then backline forward. So if we were the first to play, we would be the last ones to sound check, and then I would have the stage to myself. So like people would leave and go do whatever, and then I would just be in an empty auditorium or hall or bar or whatever it is we're playing. And I would have taken this pedal out of my pedal board if not for this, just to have it there. And it's a line 6 delay pedal, but it has a loop feature in it. So I would loop 4 chords into it, and then I would just play by myself in a giant hall and rock out by myself. It would be so fun. I'd be like, oh, this is awesome.
That is great.
But outside of the stretching, warming up. I would I would not start drinking until the first band went on, unless we were the first band, in which I wouldn't start drinking until doors. Otherwise, it could get out of hand. Like there was a time we were in Munich and we went to Hofbrauhaus and we were day drinking before the show. It's like I didn't make it.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
I always wondered that. Like, do bands just start if they do partake in that? Do they start like during their own set? Do they pregame? Because you got to be on your A game, especially for some of the complex stuff that you guys played on guitar.
Yeah, definitely. Like I don't want to be like hammered, but it does happen from time to time. But like I definitely didn't want to be up there stone cold sober either. Like,
right, yeah, gotta be loose.
Yeah, a little bit, because you make mistakes, and if I'm the shows that I did play that were sober, it's like you make a mistake and then I just focus on it for like the next 4 songs before I could like get past it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like even if you're on beer 2 or something, you make a little mistake, you're like whoopsie, and you just keep going on, like and you just brush it off real quick, and it doesn't really affect me. But yeah, I would definitely like, God damn it, 3 songs ago I fucked that up. Fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I think I heard that one time when I saw you.
Why is the guitarist just whispering over his microphone?
It's hilarious. We were talking about like when we play like billiards or darts or cornhole or whatever. Like once you get to that 2 beer buzz, you start playing better. So I almost wonder like what you're saying. Like you don't want to be sober. You want to get like a little buzz, depending on the situation. So we can relate. That's the extent of what we can relate to. But
yeah, other than I don't know if I'd say this is a ritual, but there was I don't even know when it was. We were on tour with Real Big Fish and Goldfinger and us and the first band. I think it was the Matches. And I'm sitting on stage watching Real Big Fish play after I'm done. And I see something fly through the air, and then it hits the back curtain and falls down. And I was like, what was that? I just saw Elmo fly through the air, didn't I? I'm a little buzzed, but I'm pretty sure I saw Elmo. I get up from where I'm sitting and I walk back behind the stage, and I'm like looking around, and there it is. Hey, Elmo, will you be my friend? And he's in my bag downstairs right now, actually.
No way.
You still have him?
Oh, from that show on, the next show, like Elmo stood on top of my amp. So Elmo, it goes like the little strap that you pick up your amp by. He sits under that strap. I put his legs under there and I put him there and I give him a little fist bump before we go on.
That's awesome.
And if you watch our videos after that, he's on top of my amp for every video. If he's for photo shoots, he's either in my pocket or like he's somewhere you can be seen. Like he goes everywhere with me, even if he's on like vacation. Like I take him to my backpack with me. He was in my pocket for my wedding.
You heard it here first. Check out all the videos.
He's even on like the Bourbon Brothers stuff. He still sits on like he's my mojo. We hang out.
I cannot wait to go back and like look for him now in different videos and like holy shit, I know Elmo. That's awesome.
Yeah, somebody in Japan noticed that he was always there, and then they gave me like a second Elmo, like a newer one, because the one I had, like he's pretty beat up.
Yeah.
Like I have to Sharpie his eyes back on every couple months because it's all worn out. And so now I have 2 sitting up there, but only one like really goes on vacation with me.
Nice. That's awesome.
Jeez, that's a good start right there.
Yeah.
That's
So I guess that's a little bit of a ritual. Like Elmo goes with me.
Definitely.
But
Yeah.
All right, who wants to read the next one?
Nate, you're up.
I'm up. Okay, cool.
All right.
Spin
Spinning the wheel, baby.
Woo.
All right, Greg's got the noise covered for us. Ooh, all right.
Ooh. Perfect. You might have somewhat answered this because I think you do at least, but do bands practice a lot before tour? So basically as a full band, rehearsal and so forth.
Ooh. I would say that depends on the band. I know a lot of bands. I remember a lot of bands that just like meet there and start playing.
Oh, wow.
But it depends on the band. Zebrahead, I mean, when we all lived in town, I guess I was the first one to move out of town. When we were all there, even when we were home from tour, we had a pretty, like, I won't say rigid, but like we were all in. Like we were very aware that like we were a working class band, and we got to keep the machine going. You got to keep writing new songs. You got to put out new records and keep the album cycles going. So we would get home from tour. We would take like a week, maybe 2 weeks off to just unwind. And then we'd be back at it. We'd practice Monday to Thursday religiously. Like,
wow.
Like it was a work week.
Yep.
And we take Fridays off and the weekend, and then back at it next week. I would say until I moved out of town, like we would just practice all the time. So it wasn't like we practiced for the upcoming tour. We were just practicing. Like we were writing, like trying to write new stuff all the time. After I moved, I don't know how much the guys practiced too, because Maddie was out of town living in Vegas. So I would usually fly in a couple of days before. And then the further it got on and like the set wouldn't change, I was like, can I just meet you guys in Europe? Like, I know the songs. I'm pretty good. Yeah. I remember them now. But they were like, yeah, we don't. Can we please practice? I'm like, okay. So I would fly in like the day before we were flying back out, and we just run through the set, and then some outlier songs that we would, with good intention, think we were going to add into the set, but we'd end up playing like the same 15 songs anyway.
Yeah,
we've always wondered that because like I feel like every band we see sounds tight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it could be just the acoustics. It could be you're distracted by the light show, whatever it may be. But that's interesting. And it sounds like you guys took it pretty serious, at least when you lived all in the same area.
I mean, we still took it seriously when we were gone. I just, maybe me personally, felt like, come on, guys. We've been playing these MFDB songs for a decade. Like, we're really going to practice this? And then it's hard to change the set, too, because it's like the super fans want to hear like, the B-sides and the deeper cuts on tracks that are, probably more of their favorites than say like the singles or whatever the videos were. Mm-hmm. But, 90% of the crowd is probably like their first or second time seeing you, or, third or fourth. Or it's not like, there's a handful of people that come to shows that are like, yeah, I've seen him a dozen times. I'm traveling, 300 miles and we're going to go watch the next week of shows. Like, there's a few, but there's not a lot. And it's like, do you try and make those 24 people happy, or are you trying to make the other, 700 people that came out to you to see the show happy, to play all the songs that like they recognize and know? So it was always like a weird juggling, balancing act of like what you as an artist feel expected to play versus what you can slip in there without trying to be like so weird that like, I remember seeing Sheryl Crow live, and she played what was that first big hit she had? The
All I Want to Do.
All I Want to Do. Yep. And she played it so weird. I was like, the song's unrecognizable. Like it turned me off. To it's like, I get it. You're probably sick of playing the song. I get it. But come on, man.
Right. I haven't heard it.
I haven't heard it. Like, I wanted to hear it this way. And I got some weird avant-garde version of it. Like Yoko Ono produced it, where I was like, God damn it. What is this nonsense?
I love that you've been on both sides of that. Like you've been in both seats, right? You've sat on stage and been like, all right, what do I do here? Do we want to change this up, or do we want to play it the way they want to hear it? And then you've been in the crowd and been like, play it the way I want to hear it.
Yeah. I was going to say, as a fan, like, I think the only time I ever enjoyed a different rendition is if it's just a faster tempo, because it's more punk rock. But in terms of like rearranging the song altogether, like Bob Dylan does that, it's annoying. Yeah. A few other bands I've seen do it. It's just like, I guess it's time to take a pee.
Yeah, it's a weird juggling act to try and keep yourself entertained, but still be entertaining of what people paid their money to go see.
Yep, totally. Twan, you ready?
Let's do it. Another spin of the wheel. Spin, spin,
She's
spin.
Spinning, baby.
Ooh. All right. This is a kind of a unique one. So when you tour internationally, do you bring your merch with you, or do you have your merch made where you go? And this is like a deep cut nerd question.
That's a very, very astute business question. At first, we were bringing literally boxes upon boxes of shirts with us. And then that got real old real fast with all the boxes. And Ben had done the math on it and was like, dude, it's going to be way cheaper than if we go through this other company that's there. And so all of us were just like, fuck, well, all right, fine.
Yeah.
After time, though, we ended up meeting some people in Wales, and they would print our shirts, and it was better. It was more cost efficient to have him print our shirts, and then for our European shows, and then he would either drive out to the first show, or we had his band opened for us a bunch of times too. It was the guy's name was Neil, and he was in Attack, and what was his band after that? I'm brain farting on the band after they had a couple of member changes when they had a new name. But yeah, he was great. I think he probably still does their merch over there, but he would print our shirts and have them made so that we didn't have to carry them on the plane anymore, at least to Europe. And then Japan, after a while, we just ended up using the big festival over there that we always played, Summer Sonic, and the promoter was tied in with a merch company there. And over time, we just were selling so many shirts at those festivals that it was ridiculous to bring as many boxes as we were selling. So we just went with their merch guy over time. And then he ended up doing our tours and stuff too. So
Nice.
The answer is both.
Yeah.
We started one way because we couldn't afford it, or it was cheaper, or we didn't know anybody. And then as our network grew and sales grew, like we just couldn't, it was unrealistic to bring that many boxes over.
I can just, I picture you guys walking down the airport with Gildan or Hanes boxes. Just
Yep. Yeah, totally. Like literally we had stacks upon stacks of those boxes. And we're like, they're like, each one of these is going to be like another $50. We're like, rack them up.
Take the loss. Yeah. You know, the cool thing about that though, is like, as a fan, if you're like a collector, like we all are, we started posting like all our ticket stubs and posters and stuff like that, is like different tours, especially internationally. It's almost like a unique limited item for that country. So you're lucky if you get it.
Yeah. The shirts.
Yeah.
We tried. Ben did a really good job of keeping track of the shirts and what sold, what didn't sell. And then, like if something would sell out, reorder even mid-tour, and then be able to pivot to like, these shirts aren't selling at all. That's the $5 shirt since nobody wants that one. And then changing out the shirt designs regularly too, because you go back 3 times in a row and it's like all the same shirts designs. Everyone's like, I already got those shirts.
Yeah.
so they don't buy them. So there's got to be a new rotation of shirts all the time too, with designs.
Did you ever send any of those shirts that have been sitting there for a while? Did you ever send any of them to like a third world country like they did with the Super Bowl shirts of the team that loses?
I never heard that. That's really what they do with this?
Yeah. This Patriots 19-0 ones, I'm sure somewhere in the world that never happened.
That's awesome. I don't recall ever giving any away. They just sit in a warehouse until they're all sold. They might get packaged up like as like a bargain bundle or something, or just super discounted. But yeah, I don't never recall giving them away to some homeless shelter or anything.
That'd be kind of fun though. Like,
I do remember this. Like in Japan, so they would have the label would have all kinds of promotional stuff all the time, and they had these little like LL Bean type style bags that said Zebrahead on it with logo and for the new record, and you couldn't smoke in the hotel, and even at the point where I had quit smoking at home, like I'd get on tour and I'm like, you get back from the bar after playing a show and I'm like, I want a cigarette, maybe 2. And so I'd go down and out of the lobby and on maybe sitting on the street and smoking a cigarette, and a homeless guy goes walking by, and he's carrying all his stuff in one of these New Zebrahead promo bags. I'm like watching him go by. I'm like, does this mean I've arrived? If I made it, is this what this means? Like, this is.
That's awesome.
That is amazing.
Oh man!
All right, folks, that is the episode for tonight.
Yeah, we know. 3 questions, 3 awesome stories. I'm not gonna lie.
Yep.
All right.
I actually just ran to my little collection to grab this. I don't know if you remember this one, Greg. Zebrahead hat.
Oh yeah.
And Ben must be the merch guy because he signed the bottom of this. You can see.
I would say getting Ben and Ed were the hardest guys to get autographs for, because they would, like, Ben would go back and like count numbers and Ed would just be like, I'm the fat drummer. Nobody wants my autograph. I want to go out there. And then when he did, if he stood there for more than 30 seconds and nobody like was like, hey, what's Ed? Can I get your autograph? He'd be like, God, see, so I don't come out here. I'm just standing here like a fucking door. I don't want to go back inside. But like, if it was me, Allie, and Justin, or even me, Allie, and Maddie, like, we're just at the bar hanging out. So it was always really easy to find us.
Nice. All right, next one. I'm spinning the wheel.
All right, let's go.
He's really committing to the bit, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, that's perfect.
Very accurate, too.
Okay. Well, you know what? You may have answered this, but I'm going to ask it again anyway, because there might be something else. Most interesting thing you brought on tour with you? Anything?
Oh, no, you bought.
Anything.
You bought on tour.
Oh, bought. Yeah, sorry. Most interesting thing you bought on tour. So anywhere in the world.
Oh,
interesting thing.
I didn't put my glasses on, so you could have said
Either,
bought
apparently.
or brought.
I
wouldn't have known.
We need glasses. You need glasses, Tom.
Apparently.
Most interesting thing I bought on tour. I'm gonna go with So we're playing at Bogart's in Cincinnati. I think we were out with 311 actually, and we get done with sound check, and we had played there before, and I knew there was a vintage guitar store like 2 doors down from the venue, and so I went over there, just wandering around, like checking out all the awesome stuff that they have in there, because it's not like, you know, guitar centers are cool and all, but like it's all like Fender Squires, or like there's more low level stuff in there than there is nice stuff in there. But like this store was like, you know, one of these like you know, Norman's Rare Guitars sort of thing. You know, it's like this boutique-y vintage shop. I ended up buying it's difficult to date because the serial numbers don't exactly line up. So if you look it up online, the serial numbers kind of give you a range of what year it could be. So I took the neck off to see what the number is in the neck pocket. I think it's a 70. It could be 71. It could be 69.
Wow.
But I think it's 1970. Fender Telly. And I also bought an old tape Echoplex that same day. But I had bought the Telly because it had these Gibson mini humbucker pickups in the neck. I'm like, that's not standard. Somebody dropped those in, and you know, playing it, I was like, oh, this is really cool. This is a cool sound and a cool idea to put that pickup in this guitar. You know, I plugged it in when I got back to the venue, and it was a little noisy because you know, it's older, just need to be cleaned up a little bit. So I called my rep at Seymour Duncan Pickups at the time, and I told him the story, like, hey, I got this new guitar, I just bought it, it's vintage. They got these old pickups in them. You know, I took a picture of the back of the pickup, took it out, like it got the serial number on it. It was like, what, can you tell me anything about it? Like where it came from, what year it is, like, you know, what exactly is this? And they said, oh, well, send it in and we'll see if we can't clean it up for you. So I box it up, send it in to Seymour Duncan. They call me back like a week later, and they tell me, so we were asking around, and Seymour was so intrigued by these pickups that he came down and did like took over on it and like did the research and figured out that he thinks they came out of a 1970 gold top Les Paul. And then they said he liked it so much that he personally rewrapped the pickup. So I was like, oh, that's awesome. Seymour himself came and rewrapped my pickup and sent it back to me. So I think that's probably the coolest thing I bought on tour.
Guitar nerd. I love it. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
I thought you were going to say he had a cash offer for it, ready to go.
He's probably has a whole bucket full himself. Right? I don't know. But I just thought it was cool that he personally took the time out and did that and was so intrigued by it. And was like, oh, what a cool setup. Yeah, put that in a Telecaster.
Well, and that's a guy who obviously has been around guitars a ton and sees something like that and gets excited about it. You're like, cool, I struck a nerve here. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah, nerd sees nerd. Ooh, what is this?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So did you get a good deal on it?
I mean, at the time it was someone I was playing a Bourbon Brothers show actually this weekend at a vineyard. And when we're done playing, somebody wanted to talk guitars with me because my L4 is, I mean, I want to say it's rare, but like it's a pretty cool talking point guitar. Like if you're playing guitar, if you're a guitar player, and we want to know like what other kind of guitars I had, and, you know, outside of this one, what would be the coolest one I have. And so I told them that story with that Telecaster, and then I was like, or I mean, just my custom shop Les Paul. I actually told them a story about a coolest guitar that I didn't get too, which was I went to go hang out with Cameron Webb in LA for a day, and because he was recording Motorhead, and he was starting guitars with Filthy Phil, and so I forget what studio they were at. It was I want to say Ocean's Way, because it was the studio, I think it's Ocean's Way that who's the crazy guy that did Ramones and Phil Spector. Mm-hmm. Fired a gun bullet through the wall in the studio, and they left a bullet hole there. Oh yeah. I think it's Ocean Way because it was that studio, and I was like, I want to see the hole. Where is it? Filthy Phil had this old Explorer in his guitar rack, and I was like, oh, badass. How much you want for it? Or I was asking him what year it was first, and he's like, I think it's like 70 something. And he's like, I hate the thing. I don't even play it. I don't know why I brought it. I was like, oh, really? You don't like it? How much you want for it? And then he gave me a number that was like $4,000, $5,000, where it was and low enough to where I was like, but it was high enough to where I was like, no. You know, it's like on the fence. I was like, let me think about it. He's like, all right, you know what I am. And I didn't get it. And I ended up later that week ordering from the Gibson Custom Shop a new Explorer and a Custom Shop Les Paul. And when they were done building it, like 2 months later, I get them, and they get shipped in. And I open up the Explorer, and I was all pumped and excited. I was like, "Fuck yeah, new Explorer!" And I pull it out of its case, and the Explorers, I don't know if you guys know it. I mean, it's a freaking tank. The thing's got to weigh like 15 pounds. Like it should be a heavy guitar, like the kind that hurts to stand up and play with for more than 10 minutes a time. And I pick it up, and it's super light, and I'm like, what is this bullshit? And so I look it up online, and all the new Explorers, like, they routed out holes inside the bodies. They call them tone chambers, but they just made it light. And it doesn't sound like the old 70s and 80s Explorers sound, because it doesn't have that same weight and that same wood to it. And I was like, God damn it, I should have bought Phil's.
Yep. Well, hit him up, man. Maybe now's the time.
He probably wants $20,000 for it now.
Yeah, at this point.
Hey, maybe he's listening right now.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Phil, cut me a deal.
And the whole time you're saying, I couldn't help but imagine the Wayne's World scene where it's in the glass case. Oh, it will be mine.
It will be mine. Yeah.
Yeah, I should have bought it. I blew it.
Nate, you ready?
Yep. I'm ready to
spin it. She's spinning. Nate's favorite wheel. Here it goes.
That one didn't spin very long.
Ooh.
No, that was quick.
Ooh, here we go.
Does the wheel need to go around one rotation for it to be legal to spin?
Yes. Same as Price is Right.
Yep. We make the rules here. All right. Let's see here. Name something about touring the fans wouldn't know.
I love that.
You've already answered this question like 7 times today, but throw us another one.
You're not allowed to take a number 2 on the bus. So
this.
if you wake up in the morning and you need to go and the venue is not yet open and you've got something happening because you drank too much the night before, it could be a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
Where you're like, you wake up and you're like, oh God, help. And then you get outside and you look around, you're like, what city are we in? Where are we? Have I been here before? Where's there a Starbucks? I know there's a Starbucks here. I think it's like 3 blocks over. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it 3 blocks. This could be bad. But the no number 2s on the bus, which at times could be a difficult problem to deal with.
Yeah. So unless you're Dave Matthews Band, then you just dump it over the bridge.
Boy. I was gonna say, so if you're in a primary, secondary, or tertiary market anywhere in the country, Starbucks is where the bands take a shit.
Hey, Starbucks, always clean.
I love it.
Is it because coffee makes you shit? It kind of makes sense.
Well, to be honest, like usually when I'd get up in the morning on tour, I would go hunt down coffee anyway. So if we'd been to the city multiple times, or at least the venue multiple times, I usually knew where the Starbucks was already. So like I'd get outside and be like, where are we parked in relation to the venue? And then be like, all right, that way.
2 birds, 1 stone with that, right?
Yeah.
Coffee and you utilize the facilities. It would probably be even worse if you were like in a van together.
Ooh. Actually, no. Well, we never slept in the van. So the van, we would get hotel rooms. So you just wake up in the hotel room, drop one off before you get back in to get to drive to the show.
That's good. You weren't sleeping in the van, and then also trying to take a dump in the van. That would have been bad.
Man.
Well, there was the RV too, and that was another one where you're like, no deuces in the RV, even though it was like you guys were driving. Like we always drove ourselves with the RV. We never hired a driver. You could take a dump in the bus, but the bus driver usually charged you like $400 or something because he didn't want to clean it out. And if you didn't clean it out, then you're just driving around with the shit in the tank, and then it stinks the whole time. And then you got 12 other dudes looking at you like, did you really just do that? Fuck, now we got to smell that for the next 8 hours. God damn it.
Yeah.
This is great. Of all the things I thought of for answers for that question, that was not one of them.
No.
A big practical joke. Like I had heard, like he never did it to us, but I had heard like Fat Mike would go on some other band's tour bus who'd be like touring for the first time, be like, "Hey, cool guys, I want to hang out with you," and then go in their bathroom, take a dump, and fucking leave.
That sounds on brand for him.
Initiation right there. That's initiation. Right? You are now part of the fraternity.
And we've learned so much. Unless you're Gigi Allen, you can't shit on the bus.
Well, he was just shit in his hand and throw it at you.
Yes, you would.
All right, Twan, I'm spinning it. You ready?
I'm ready. Tick, tick, tick,
There it
tick,
goes.
tick, 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 tick.
That one was slower.
All right. So this is a good one. So do you look at other bands through a different lens, knowing what goes into touring? So like, it's easy for us to dismiss bands because we're not musicians and we don't know what goes into it. But do you have a different lens, knowing what it takes to be in a band and tour?
I want to say no, but the answer is yes. Yeah, my ex-wife after a while would say, don't make any comments during the show. Like you ruin it for me sometimes. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, I don't, you tell me things that are happening on stage that I don't really notice. And then I start focusing on it. And then I get all sad and like, oh, I really like this band, but now I'm depressed about it. Or, like I've ruined the magic trick for like, I'm trying to remember who it was. Actually, I'll tell the story and not name names now that I remember who it is, because I don't want to badmouth anybody. But yeah, we went to a show that she wanted to see. And I'm like, oh, okay. And we're out in the crowd because even they reached a point too where I was like, oh, I don't want to go stand out in the crowd. People are going to run into me. I just want to drink my beer in peace. And like, and if I would go stand in the crowd, I'd go stand by the soundboard. Cause that's like the guy who's making the sound. That's where he stands. So in my mind, like that's the best place to sit, like of what it's going to sound like. So I'm sitting there, and plus you can see more stuff that's happening. Like, what's he doing? Oh, what else is going on back here? We're watching a band play, and it's like her favorite ballad that comes on, and I'm like rolling my eyes, and there's like a harmony that's happening, but I only see one guy on the mic, and then like strings section comes in, and I'm like, oh, like okay, and then so I lean over, I'm like, do you see anybody playing strings on stage? she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, do you hear violins? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, do you see violins? She says, no. I'm like, this is all I got right now.
Yeah.
And she's like, God damn it. Why stop it? But yeah, I would do that all the time with like backup vocals or harmonies. And I'm like, I hear 1, 3, 5 and a 7. And there's like one guy singing on a mic and 2 guys jumping around. And I'm like, that's not really happening. So I guess in a sense, I would see a lot of bad things happening, or things that weren't really happening that were happening, where you're like, they're rock bands. So you know, everybody expects rock bands to be playing, but a lot of times there's some, it's a stage show at the end of the day. Like, you know, a lot of times it's like a Britney Spears show.
Yep.
Here, I don't want to say this is bad mouthing, but when we played a festival with Marilyn Manson, and like John 5 was like, his cabinet was mic'd. He was playing guitar live. Outside of that,
wow,
I don't know if any of that shit was live.
Wow.
Like, the vocals definitely. He was definitely not singing the vocals. If he was, like, the mic was on, but the tracks were louder than what he's singing. The drums were like, he's not hitting those very hard. It's like, is there even a need for that guy to be there? Like the tracks were like, it was all tracks.
It's a magic trick, like you said. Yeah.
Like it's a show. At the end of the day, it's a show. And as long as people are entertained, like, fuck it.
Yep.
But totally. Me being like, I guess on the other side of the curtain sometimes. So I'm like, oh, that's not happening. Oh, that's happening. Oh, that's impressive. He just did that. But yeah. So I want to say no, but yeah, the answer is yeah.
Yep. That makes sense. We pay attention probably more than most, but still there's so much that I don't know what's going on up there. Like, I could stand next to you and you'd be like this, and I wouldn't even know that. And I've been to, I don't even know how many shows, hundreds of shows. So,
and you never go back to a show.
I'd be like, damn it. Greg ruined the shows for me.
I'm sorry.
Nah, you won't. Don't worry. I love that shit.
Yeah. There's something to be said though about, the difference between pop music. Like, you almost kind of expect it, like the whole Ashley Simpson on Saturday Night Live when,
right. Yeah.
The auto track kept going. She hadn't even started singing yet. And it was like, oh, okay. It's almost like forgivable because I hate to say it, but it's a different genre. When it's rock and roll, you're like, wait, you don't practice, or you don't care enough to carry out your notes or whatever it is. So some of it's with age. I think Bono, he lost his voice on stage in Germany like 2 years ago. He was still singing, but like the progression part of the song where he's like actually holding his voice like is a voice track. And you're like, oh, well, he is like 57 or 9, whatever. Yeah. So I guess it's okay. But to your point as a fan, you're like,
yeah, I remember on the Zoo TV tour, I saw a clip of where they had started a song. And I think that, Zoo TV is right about the time when they started playing, because it's just the 3 of them, 4 of them. Yeah. And there's way more stuff happening in those songs live now than just, those guys happening. Or, right about Zoo TV, like it stops becoming just like a rock band. Like it starts having all this other stuff happening. And so they were playing with tracks, right? And I remember the tracks got so whacked out, like a minute into the song, they were just like, stop. Stop.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's not the solo yet.
Sorry. Yeah. We're going to start over.
You're right. They're a perfect example because they were obviously started off small and turned into the one of the, if not the biggest band in the world at many points in their career. And they're a legit stage show with all these other things going on to probably kind of distract you from some of the things that aren't actually happening on stage. So yeah, it's crazy. All right. We ready for another one?
Yeah, let's do it.
These are
Greg,
good questions. How long did it take you guys to think of these?
We had probably
not
been
long.
talking about them for a little while. Yeah, not too bad. We outsourced a little to our wives and friends and stuff too. So yeah. Spinning the wheel. Let's do this. Ooh.
It was like right on the line.
All right. Do you get to experience the cities you play in?
Ooh. Sometimes, yes and no.
Mhm.
It just depends on the schedule. Depends on the schedule and where the venue is. How about that? And then how determined you are to go see stuff. Like if it's your first time there. I remember our first time in Paris. We had, when we got there, I can't remember if it was maybe the beginning of Playmate or the end of Waste of Mine. I want to say it was like the beginning of Playmate. And when you're a young band, you're like, I don't know how long this roller coaster is going to last. So like you try and suck up everything you can, no matter what. And then especially when you're younger too, like your battery goes a little longer. And I remember we were out like the night before until like 6 a.m, something crazy, and got back to the hotel, kept drinking. We might have been like rested our eyes for like 45 minutes before we were like, let's go to the Louvre. And, like we went to the Louvre for like however long we had, maybe 3 or 4 hours before sound check, and like just went running through places. Like Venus de Milo, cool, next.
Got to see it all. Right?
Mona Lisa, cool, next. So yeah, definitely, like we definitely tried to earlier on, just because we didn't know if we'd ever be back again.
Mm-hmm.
I think by the time I stopped touring, I think I'd been to the Eiffel Tower probably like 10 times. And
Wow.
the last 4 or 5 times I was just like, some new crew people were like, I haven't gone, it was like their first or second time there. And they're like, yeah, I want to go see Eiffel Tower. So we're like, I don't have anything else to do. Let's go.
So you became the tour guide at the end of it.
No. We would usually get like, especially in foreign countries, there'd be people hanging out before the show. Like, I don't want to say hanging out at like 3 o'clock, like waiting for us, like we're the Beatles or something, but like just fans that became friends over time.
Yep.
And they'd come down to early just to hang out, and they'd usually, sightsee or translate or make life easier for us when we were getting around, so that we don't get lost on the subway or the train or whatever. So that would happen a lot. But yeah, we always tried to make a point of sightseeing if there was time. There was definitely more time once we were like at bus status versus being in a van where you're like driving all day, or because the bus, like you bus call at 2 a.m. or something, you get back on the bus, and then when you wake up, you're in the next town. So you're like, sweet, here we are, Amsterdam.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Cool. Yeah, like if you have a bus, there's a better chance of you having a driver, so at least the band can sleep, and and perhaps they're more familiar with the road. You can get there more efficiently, all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. The vans in Europe, they would come with the driver, and it would usually be like some younger guy who owned the van who wanted to hang out with bands and be on tour, and so he would drive, and it would be his van. And in America, you go down to some rental car place, and you'd rent a van or an RV, and then we'd drive it ourselves. So somebody draw the short straw, and then you're like, you don't drive all night. You drive, either to the hotel in the city that you're at, or if there's, an 8-hour drive, you try and get a couple hours in before, you're too tired to drive anymore, and then make the rest of it the next day to get to sound check on time. And then like those van tours like that, you don't necessarily get a chance to see the city that you're playing in, because you're driving the whole time. But buses definitely, like, it changes the game to where you just wake up in the city and you're like, New York, show me what you have to offer.
Yeah.
That's rad.
I'm kind of, I wish we in America had that job when I was 24, I absolutely would have driven a band around the country just to go on tour with them. And
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, dude, that would have been a blast.
Yeah, I don't know why nobody's ever, like, kids haven't thought of that in America. Like, how come there's no college kids doing that?
I would have done that. I would have done that in a heartbeat when I was that age. And now, not so much. But I mean, that's, it comes with age. And yeah, I mean, I still might, depending on the band. But all right, Nate, you ready for one?
Yeah, let's go.
And Greg, before I spin it again, whenever you say uncle, if you've had enough, just say, bro, I'm done. Leave me alone. All right, we're spinning the wheel.
I like hanging out with you guys. You should know that by now.
Hell yeah, dude.
I like that this wheel is like almost every time it just barely creeps across the line.
Lower,
It's
yeah.
it's
You're
very
you think it's going to
realistic.
be one, and then
Yep. All right. Oh, here's a good one. How do you decide the set list? This is probably varies, but I'm curious on your personal experience, Greg.
yeah, this goes back to the previous one where it's like it's hard to deviate from like what the set of what you feel. It might not even be true too. It's kind of what you feel that your fans expect you to play is what you end up playing. And then like you try and pepper in some new songs, because usually there's a new record that coincides with a new tour, right? So whatever the single is off of that record, you play that one. Like, I think for us, it was hard to find an opening song for a while. And then once MFCB came out, we opened with Rescue Me from that point
Nice.
on for a very long time.
Such a great riff to open with. It makes sense.
Yeah, because like you like the riff itself, as well as like Ed could be back there on the drums, just kind of like banging on cymbals, like as we all walk on stage, and
Yep.
it's like the kind of builds up, and then you can cymbal clutch and then riff, and then it just kind of kicks in. So I'm sure it's different for everybody, every band and every artist, but like ours kind of evolved over time. And then once it reached a point, I wanted it to continue to move on. Like I personally, I was probably the one that was the most easily bored with things from an artistic standpoint. So would always want to try and change things or mix it up. Everybody else is like, nah. I'm like, all right. I get like maybe one or two songs new. Like I would go as far as like to try and push like, let's just have a wacky day where we just play like a whole bunch of fucking B-sides.
Yeah.
I mean, we can still play Playmate if you guys feel like everybody's gonna fucking throw rocks at us at the bus afterwards if we don't play Playmate or something. But like, what if we played Blur and then we played Juggernauts and then we played Type A and then we went all the way back and played something off of Yellow, and everybody's like, no. No.
You know what I was thinking about is like the last thing someone in the crowd wants to hear is when the band says, "Y'all ready for a new song?" And everyone's like, yeah.
And little do they know they're gonna love that next time you're touring. But
No
like
kidding.
in the moment, they're like, "Nah, man, I don't know this
I
song.
don't know
like,
this
I'm gonna go
one."
take a
Yeah.
piss."
Yeah, that one, especially if you play it before it's been released, like that's
Oh, yeah.
super weird. That does not get a good response. And if it does, you're like, oh shit, that's the single. I
That's
guess
the one
we
right
got
there.
over that one.
We got one.
So interesting to hear it from your perspective, because like as fans, like I think us three could agree with your sentiment where like we want to hear those deep cuts. Like we're fans, we're here because we know all the albums up to this point, front to back, in the on the back of our hand, lyrics, everything. So it's like, but we don't get to hear these songs for whatever reason. A lot of the times, like you go to radio shows, like I understand radio shows, you pretty much have to play the hits. But for like club tours and headlining tours, like those fans know, I would say, I don't know, I might be, stepping the gun here, but like majority of the music. So you'd actually be doing a service to everyone in there, maybe even filling bigger rooms based on the fact that you play deep cuts all the time,
Right.
But
I've been kind of waiting for the band to do, even after me, like I guess some of the records hadn't been out long enough, but to do like, when they had the, say like, 15th anniversary of MFCB or something, do a whole tour of just playing the record front to back.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool.
Like I've been kind of waiting for them to do something like that, or even doing the full record as a live stream during the pandemic when they're not playing any shows. I was like, what are you guys doing?
That's like an in vogue thing, right? The last probably 5 to 7 years too, is bands revisiting, going on tour and playing a full record, and then playing some other stuff too, maybe in the front or in the back of the set, but getting down to brass tacks. Here's this record, and playing it from front to back. Like, people love that shit.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a question on the wheel, but one of my most favorite tour memories was you guys know one of my favorite bands is Metallica, and we were playing a Summer Sonic with them, and we were like on main stage, maybe I think 3 bands before them.
Oh,
and
nice.
Metallica didn't want anybody like on stage, and the promoter, because we were so big in Japan, they were like, oh, you guys can stay if you want. And so it was the 25th anniversary for Master of Puppets, so they were playing Master of Puppets beginning to end.
Nice.
And then they were playing a bunch of singles afterwards. And so Metallica's on stage, and it's like the Zebrahead guys and crew hanging out on stage, like watching the show. I was like, this is awesome. 16-year-old Greg is so fucking happy with his life right now.
That's sweet.
That is so cool.
And the guys in Anthrax, it's like, nope, you gotta go. You're not gonna be on stage. Sorry.
No, so this space is reserved for Greg.
Scott Ian is pissed.
I love it.
He's still salty about it.
Yeah,
I'm in Megadeth. I was in Metallica. Sorry, dude.
Oh, you gotta go.
Beat it, buddy. Beat it.
Sorry, dude. Oh shit. All right, I forget who's next. I'm gonna spin it one more time here at least. All right, she's spinning again.
It was a big spin. This is one for a while.
That was a good one. Yeah.
Ooh, right on the edge.
Right in the middle. Oh, it changed. All right.
All right. So assuming you got a per diem spend per day on tour, what's the most interesting thing you ever bought with per diem money? So with that $5 the label gave you, would you buy, Greg?
Instead of food, I mean, like Subway, something else.
Honestly, I'm trying to think of, like, we might have got PDs on like one tour in the very beginning, and the only thing we ever bought with it was beer. Like we spent it at the bar. Like it was never more than like $10, $20, like tops. I don't even remember what it was definitely not enough to do anything fun with.
Right. Well, beer's fun, right?
Yeah.
Booze is fun.
Yeah.
What beer did you buy? I need to know.
Yeah.
Red
Answer
Dog.
the damn question, Greg.
At the beginning of touring, I would have been a Budweiser guy. At the end of touring, I would have been a Guinness guy.
Nice.
Or if they did not have Guinness, it would have been just Jack on the Rocks.
Smart man.
So you get one Jack in the Rocks with the.
But yeah, we gosh, I don't even think we gave our like text PDs like in the end. Like, that's your salary. What do you mean you want PDs? You get this much a week. Use it how you see fit.
We want to do kind of a lightning round, like a quick response type of thing. One more time.
Yeah, we can go around one more time.
Go around one more time. We'll keep them.
I mean, we'll keep them as quick as we can keep them, right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
You never know. I'm spinning it again.
Ding, 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 ding.
I think this is me.
That was kind of jumpy. It's making my eyes hurt. Like
Sorry.
it didn't spin.
Sorry.
It didn't spin smoothly.
This is a good one for a lightning round one. Favorite venue or venues you played over the course of touring?
Oh wow.
Yeah. Small, medium, large. Might as well draw it out.
Damn it, Nate. Stop.
Okay, large. I'm gonna go with Chiba Marine Stadium. Was the baseball stadium for the Yakult Swallows in Tokyo.
Nice.
And that was. I just thought that was awesome to be like playing on a giant stage in a baseball stadium, like looking out and all the seats. I'm like, this is pretty cool. And like we would come in through the outfield wall too, so it's like
That's fun.
we'd be in the back like pretending to rob home runs up against the wall before we went on and stuff. I always wanted to bring like a wiffle ball and like play back there.
Nice.
That would have been a blast.
So big, I'm going to go with, Chiba Marine Stadium. Medium, I'm going to go with Chicago House of Blues is really cool. It always felt like an old opera house to me with I think it's got 3 or 4 levels on it. And then it's got the foundation room. And like from stage, you could always backdoor to so many different places and just pop into places where you're like, boom, I'm in the balcony, I can watch the show. Boom, I'm out in the crowd. Boom, I'm in the foundation room. You're like, it was always like, ooh, there's so many secret ways to get around in here. And then the venue was always really cool itself. It always sounded great on stage in there. So I'm gonna go with Chicago House of Blues as the medium. And small, I'm gonna go with I don't even remember the name of the place. It was in Turnbridge Wells. It might just be called Turnbridge Wells. But the place, like the first time we pull in, like it's in a park, and there's this outlier building in the park, and you got to wheel your crap across this grass field because the parking lot is, you know, a couple 100 yards away, and it always sucked trying to get your shit across there, right? And then you get inside. It's a tiny ass, you know, structure. There's no air conditioning. There's no toilet seats on the toilets. There's like, you can't, the sinks to wash your face or anything or brush your teeth. You're like, what is happening? Like, it's the little push button on the water. So like the water's done before you're done brushing your teeth or washing your face or getting the soap off your eyes or something. And you're like, what, this place is such a shithole. Why are we here? And the cap couldn't possibly be more than 250, 200 tops.
Wow, tiny.
And the backstage behind the stage was it was basically a glorified closet. Like some of the beer league hockey rooms are way bigger than that was. And to get to the backstage, like you have to go on stage to get backstage to go through there. Like you have to go. So if you're hanging out backstage while the openers are on and you want to go out to do something, you like gotta walk through their set.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Good
job, guys.
Here's Greg. He's gonna pee. Sorry, guys.
But the place would always be sold out because it's so tiny, and with no air conditioning, the place was just like sweat is dripping off the ceiling and the walls, and it was really gross. It sounded utterly horrendous in there. But the place would always go off because it was so packed in. It was so loud that like it would be nonstop stage divers. You know, it was just a parade of people on stage and jumping back off. Like
that's
it was
awesome.
Just a dirty club venue that it was always a good time to play there, even though essentially it sucked, but it was just awesome because it sucked so bad.
The energy was
off. Yeah.
We love that. We love shit like that. That's awesome. That's fun.
Dirty, dingy,
basement
sweaty clubs. Yeah.
All right, Nate.
I don't even know if I'd call it a club. I don't know if it's true or not, but I think some kid had told me like, yeah, it used to be the public bathroom for the park, but then they got a new public bathroom, so they didn't know what to do with this.
Wow, it all makes sense, Greg. Thank you for that. It all makes sense.
This is where all the bands come to shit because they can't shit on the bus.
Yeah, they can't shit on the bus.
The full circle moment.
Full circle.
The full rotation.
Speaking of full circle, here it comes. Spinning the wheel.
Is that a full rotation?
Full rotation, baby.
What do we got here? All right. Festival/venue that was a dream come true to play. In other words, somewhere you always wanted to play as a kid.
For a venue?
Mm-hmm.
Or festival. Yeah, it doesn't have to be
or
a venue.
festival. Yep, or festival.
I'll go with both, actually. The first time I went to the Whiskey, I went to go see one of my dad's friends' bands play. Like he was like an employee at my dad's shop, and he had some 80s metal guitar band. And I was like, I would jam with him when I was a kid every once in a while. They're like, yeah, keep going, man. And so I went to go watch this band play at the Whiskey Go-Go, and the band after them that was the headliner, me and my dad stayed, and like halfway through the set, I was like, holy shit. Like Michael Anthony from Van Halen walked on stage and played a song with them. And I was like, I had never seen Van Halen before. So I was still like maybe 12 or 13 at this point, and hadn't been to like a real big concert before. So I hadn't seen Van Halen yet. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. And I was already like pumped being a kid going to the whiskey for the first time with, just like all the history that it has of all the bands that have played there. So when we played the whiskey the first time, I thought that was pretty cool. Like, oh man, this is awesome. We're on the scene. We're here. We're almost a real band. I think it was for a showcase when we played there. So I don't think we were signed yet, but it was like we were playing for labels.
Nice.
So this is like, we're close. So venue, I'll say that. And then festivals, I'd probably say Warped Tour.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cause like before, my previous band, we always wanted to be like, oh, wouldn't that be awesome? Be on Warped Tour, fucking tour, Pennywise, No Effects, Bad Religion. Like, this is what an amazing tour. So when we got on Warped Tour for the first time, that was kind of special.
What year was that?
I don't know the answer to that. We went on 3 times. I think the first one was 99.
Nice.
So, sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome until Fat Mike shit on your tour bus, I'm sure.
We definitely did not have a tour bus the first or the second time we were on, I don't think, actually. I think we were in a van the first time, an RV the second, and on a bus the third time. And I will tell you, like, we used to joke, like, it became a running joke too, like the Warped Tour would separate the men from the boys of like people touring. Because if you're out in a van and you got to drive, like the West Coast drives would be brutal. Like they'd be 12-hour drive the next day and check-ins at 8 a.m. So it's like you got to play your show if you're at like 3 o'clock, and then you're like, well, I guess we're gonna pack up. I can drive to the next place.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Either that or like you're in a van and then you're out in Arizona and it's 127 on the blacktop. It's just like, you're like, where do you go to escape the heat? You're just like, I'm fucking melting. It's so hot.
Well, that's something the fans wouldn't know. That's a good answer for that one too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or might know but not appreciate.
But, yeah. You're just out there all day.
Damn.
But yeah, those drives would be long on the West Coast. And if you miss check-in, they might tell you to go fuck off. You're never really sure.
All right, last one.
Last one. Let's make it
spinning.
This is the encore, Greg. No pressure. Play us a good song. Play us a classic.
I gotta give a good answer.
Ooh, nice.
This is a good one to end on.
It
actually.
is.
All right, you ready for this? Favorite album cycle to tour off?
Oh.
That's a hard one. You're choosing your favorite kid right now.
Well,
and they both love
album,
you as the same.
The favorite album or the favorite tours off of the albums?
Give us both.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Are they different, or are they? I love it. The smoke is coming out hard right now.
I mean, there were. Oh man, that's a tough question, actually. I mean, I would say if we can backtrack from the last time I was on and talk about like 3 album runs, I would have said like for Zebrahead, for me personally, 3 album run would have been MFCB, Broadcast, Phoenix.
Yep.
And of those, man, my favorite tours though, like, cause the longer we went on, like we were like in the first 2 records, even at MSCB, like the first 3 records or so, we were like the Rodney Dangerfields of being out on tour. Like we had no respect.
Yeah.
And then like the more we went on, the longer we were out there, the more we made friends with bands that had respect or were like cool with us.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
To where it was like, oh, they wouldn't have hung out with us on, like Playmate or Waste of Mind or something. But, like by the time we're still there at like Phoenix, like, hey guys, how you doing? And we would be friends with people that we wouldn't have expected to be friends with before that was like really cool to be a part of. I remember one of the last tours I was on with the band. I think I'd mentioned like it was hard on that last podcast for the 3 albums. Like I wanted to pick Lagwagon, and then when I was looking at the records, I was like, oh, I guess I really only listened to Trash and Haas over and over again. And I mean, the next one it was the double platinum after that, and I was like, And Lost Talk About Feelings was really good, and then before that, to bookend was Duh, and I'm like, there's a couple good songs, but I wouldn't say as an album as a whole, like, it's lights out. But in fact, like, huge Lagwagon fan, and then we did a festival with them towards the end, and we were on the same stage, and I think there might have been one band between us, or they were right after us. And so I just sat on stage and watched them, and like the techs were like looking at me, like, because I was singing along to every song, out loud, like not with my inside voice, like. And we hung out with them afterwards, and I remember like Big Bitch had come through town with I forget what band he was with the bass player from Atari's. And we came out to the show and said hi and hung out with him again. I was like, this is cool. Like, I couldn't have done this in the earlier years where I might have said maybe the tours would have been more fun. Like the fun was different as it got older, I guess. Definitely like the younger years of touring, like the debauchery was higher, and then like the fun was different when you're a little older and got like a kid or something, where you're like, I'm just hanging out. not looking for trouble anymore.
No, definitely not.
But if trouble comes to me, I mean, I'm here.
I'm here
for a little while. For a little while.
Yeah, I'm here for a little bit, but then I gotta go.
Then I gotta go. Yeah.
I gotta tuck Elmo in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. Shit.
So, oh man, favorite tour. I guess I'm gonna go with. We had been out a bunch of times with like the Matches Us, Real Big Fish, or Matches Us, Goldfinger, Real Big Fish, and we're really good friends with the guys in the Matches, and they were a little bit younger than us. Like when we first started touring with them, I think John, the guitar player, wasn't even 18 yet. Like he had gotten a GED and left high school, but they definitely weren't old enough to drink. And
Allegedly.
like we just thought they were right legally.
Don't incriminate yourself, Greg. Don't incriminate yourself.
But we loved that first record. We thought they were so talented, and are talented, and so like we took them out on a couple of tours that we headlined, and we took them to Japan, and on I think it was the MFCB record, and I think that was like that tour was probably the maybe the height of our success over there, to where like we're doing radio shows and like radio interviews in between shows. We're doing morning shows on like national TV where they've got us, doing the wacky, stuff that you would think is like you picture in your mind of Japanese game shows type stuff.
Nice.
And like we would do like 2 or 3 days of just interviews and press, and they would split us up into 2 rooms with, like it would be me and Justin in one room and the other guys in the other room, and we would just 2 at a time doing interviews for like 8 hours.
Damn.
And it would be like after a night where we got in from the bars at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and they were waking us up at like 8 to go back out. We're in there cracking beers at like 10. Like, we can start drinking, right? It's cool. Like, we're just gonna do it.
Gotta get right.
And the label's like, just hold it together. Just please hold it together. And so yeah, I would say like that was a lot of fun, because like we got to hang out with friends to take as our openers. And they had just signed to Epitaph, and Epitaph had their distribution in Japan through Sony. So it was essentially all the same offices was running their PR too.
Nice.
So like we got to combine a lot of stuff. We got to do some joint things together where it was like 2 bands being real good friends, just being on tour, like, conquering the world sort of vibe awesome. Of like having fun. So I think that's what I go with for my favorite tour.
Nice. I agree. That was the tour I saw you guys on multiple times, but I didn't see anything from MFCB, or sorry, from Waste of Mind or Playmate. But MFCB, I think I saw 3 tours. on that record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good time.
Yeah, you guys were firing on all cylinders for sure. It was tight.
I love that record. I just love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Greg, what do you think? The wheel was a good idea?
Oh, it was fun.
Nate loves the wheel.
What were the ones that didn't get called up on?
I can read you a couple.
Yeah, let's pull it up.
Nate, here, let me pull it up real quick. We got.
I think Greg's hinting that he wants to do the rest.
Yeah, he might be.
Patreon. The Patreon.
Name something that you never left home without.
Elmo. We know that.
Elmo.
Yeah, Elmo. Yeah, biggest difference between touring pre-internet versus with the internet. You got something for that?
Yeah, you got.
Sounds like you got something for that. I guess we have to listen.
Pre-internet, the thought never crossed my mind. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, someone could be recording that. Post-internet, it was like, no. Put that camera down. What are you doing?
That's a great point.
Favorite country to tour in?
That's a good one.
I mean, I want to say Japan just because we were so big over there, but like everything about Japan is cool too. Because as a kid growing up, my family had for 2 years, we had Japanese foreign exchange students. And then at the end of like when we stopped doing the foreign exchange students, we went over to Japan. I think it was like 9 and visited the families of the kids that stayed with us. So I already had like this connection to Japan and the culture and just how respectful it is over there. The pride and everything that they do. And it's just a different lifestyle and a different way of how people go about themselves than America. Like here's probably the biggest example I could get that everyone can relate to in America. Like if you go to a McDonald's in America, it's a fucking shithole, right? And if you ask for something out of the norm, like you'll be like, what? No, not my job, man. This is, you want what? No. Frosty machine's closed. or McFlurry machine's closed.
It's broken.
Yeah. And it's probably dirty, and you're like, oh God, this place sucks. Even if the food were good, the place still sucks. You go to McDonald's in Japan, like the place is spotless. Like the people are happy to be working there. Everything is like they're just proud to be there. And like, it doesn't matter what your job is, or like they do it as best they can all the time. I remember like they wore masks when we were sick. And the first time I saw somebody wearing a mask, I'm like, what's wrong with them? They're like, oh, they have a cold. I'm like, that's why they're wearing a mask. So they don't spread their cold. I'm like, oh, well, that was a novel idea.
Ahead of the curve on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. The first time we went there, there's like on the yellow record on All I Need, Ed's got this, the intro on the drums is like goes boom, and he hits this a trigger for an 808 to go off, and he had forgot the power cable when he packed his stuff to go on tour. So he had the drum pad, but he didn't have the power cable. So he was like, oh, well, I guess I'm not hitting the 808 pad for the hit. And one of the techs or one of the crew guys at the venue heard him talking about it, and they said, oh, let me see, what kind of power cable do you need? And he looks at it and he's like, oh, he asks around to see if there's one in the venue. They couldn't find one. And Ed said, oh, don't worry about it. And the venue guy says, oh, no, we sent a runner to go get one. And Ed was like, wow. What? No, really? He's like, no, you don't have to. And Ed said, how far is where's he going to go get it? And he said, oh, it's very close. He's taking a 2-hour train ride and then he'll be back.
Wow.
So a band at a venue forgets a power cable, and somebody from the venue goes on a train for 2 hours to a music store that has this power adapter and then takes a 2-hour train back before showtime. Try and picture somebody in America doing that.
Wouldn't happen.
Right. That just doesn't happen.
You're on your own, buddy.
You're fucked, buddy.
Remember it next time, Greg.
Figure it out. Yeah, figure it out, bro.
Yep. We've had many guests on here, or at least one, Brandon, right?
Brendan from Incendiary. Yeah.
Incendiary, yeah, that also said Japan is his favorite country to tour.
Yep.
So for a lot of those same reasons, just the politeness, the immaculate service, the amazing food, the amazing culture. I mean, it's just like
Nate, that's gonna make you feel a little bit of pride, right?
Yeah, I'm half Japanese, so every time I go to Japan, I'm like, yes, this place rules.
Motherland.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we had a couple others, but let's save them. We'll have you back.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right.
We gotta save them. We gotta have you back. I mean,
what's the next one gonna be?
Nate wanted to do current events, so we might just have you come in and just be the fourth member that night. We have some cool stories, and I'm sure you'll have thoughts on things because you've seen it from that side.
Yep. Actually, maybe we'll have you to come up with the segment because we're not running out of ideas.
It's your turn,
Yeah.
Wait, you guys, I'm disappointed that you guys had me on for episode 64 and not episode 69.
I know. Sorry. Yeah. What are you doing in 5 weeks?
It's not too late. I mean, so Greg,
you got a point there.
we were going to wait till now to ask you. This was actually a tryout to be a full member of the podcast.
Yeah.
All right.
So we got to deliberate. We got to deliberate, assess your performance, and then we'll get back in touch.
Yeah, we're gonna send this up the chain. We'll have the trustees of the Party Slay podcast listen to it.
See what management thinks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Were your answers
PC enough to go mainstream?
Yeah.
I don't want to get you guys canceled.
I think we're good.
Are we viable for sponsorship? Starbucks for sure.
Yeah, Starbucks. A place to shit. Starbucks. A place to shit.
I was gonna say Marilyn Manson canceled us, but he's already been canceled, so it doesn't matter.
He's got his own problems.
Yep.
Totally. Oh boy. Yeah. So I'm gonna wrap us here. So at Patio Slave on Twitter and Instagram, email us patioslavepodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up if you liked this, you like listening to us talk to Greg, you want us to have Greg on again sooner rather than later, maybe episode 69.
Don't forget don't forget the Venmo.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm gonna make a Venmo and I'll just post it. I'm just gonna start posting it at the bottom of all of our social media. You want to kick
Cash
$1
app.
to us? We'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so Greg can get that guitar. God damn it!
Yeah,
We're gonna buy the guitar.
We're gonna start a GoFundMe for Greg to get that guitar.
That was a fun one, guys.
Lots of fun.
Awesome. We'll see everyone next week. And Greg, we appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome.
Greg.
I had a great time as always.
Peace.
Yeah, this was a blast. Patio Slave, where nerd dreams come true.
Yep.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.